If Europe is ever going to resolve its immigration problem, it needs to go after the source, and that source is the cult of Islam, pure and simple. It is time to cease pandering to a cult that is causing so much harm around the world, and it is causing its people to flee. There has never been any proof that Islam is a religion, which was created much like the Nazi Party was created by a warrior called Mohammed and Hitler. In both cults, they preach death to outsiders and total submission to one belief. In previous wars, the free world used propaganda to help win the war and even used it to cause Russia to break apart to what it is today. So it does work. So why can't we do the same for Islam, which is repressing people around the world and getting away with it by claiming that it is a religion? Quran, in fact, was written by Jews 200 to 300 years after the death of Muhammad, proving that it is a phony religion. The people that wrote it never knew the man. None of the information in the Quran is provable like they are in all other religions. Proof that Jews wrote it is that both Jews and Arabic are written right to left, and both use the same style script. To get his followers to begin to question the religion of Islam, more needs to be done to expose its negative attributes as published in the Quran itself, including all other books that try to explain the Quran, such as the Hadith and others. Facts such as Muhammad defecated in public, he murdered 600 innocent men and boys, cutting off their heads, or the fact that he kept slaves. The free world, if it continues to remain silent, will only end up in a much bigger conflict, as happened in the past with World War I and World War II. Islam is like a sore festering in Europe at the moment, and it is only a matter of time before all hell breaks loose. What politicians often fail to comprehend is that all different races feel safe as long as another race among them does not exceed 8%, which explains why most white Americans tolerate blacks as long as their numbers stay up to or below 8% in numbers. If you doubt me, please explain why very few whites bother to live or venture into black neighborhoods. Whites appear to be friendly at a party or wedding as long as there is but a few blacks mingling in the crowd. The same could be said for a Chinaman in their social group. Exceed the 8% and suddenly unease exists whether you care to notice it or not. And we all know about the bell curve of intelligence. There are more low-income people with low intelligence, which explains why there are so many of the bottom whites that don't mind breeding with a black person of similar intelligence. The rest higher up the curve will try to avoid those closer to the bottom because of fears. Fears such as keeping their children safe, money issues, potential cultism, more chances of catching disease, and more. And then there is the fear of what comes with Islam: repression, fear of death if one leaves it, isolation from the truth, and many other issues that are considered negative behavior by the free world. Speak up and don't simply say, "We don't want you here." Say why and point out the truth about Islam that is so wrong. By the way, in case you're wondering, I grew up in North Africa when Muslims were very friendly with the Europeans. Ever since then, or 60 years ago of my life, Saudi Arabia has been the #1 contributor of hate around the world by funding and establishing schools of hate, the madrasas, where needy children are forced to memorize the Quran for food and shelter. Anyone that has seen what is happening in Muslim society should shudder with fear upon seeing thousands of people being brainwashed in the name of Islam and will die believing in it. What does it take to see that a similar event occurred under Hitler and Stalin? Already in places like Michigan, Muslims have taken over areas and renaming them and even enforcing law according to Islamic laws. What you see is forced religion and not something that is free to decide what is right or wrong. Those people have no choice, and to ignore what is happening is no different than what happened to the followers of Jim Jones at Jonestown. America is doing the same and has learned nothing. Jim Jones brainwashed his followers and kept them under tight control by imposing fear of death to those that want to leave. This is not any different than what is occurring under Islam as written in the Quran. To allow Islam to continue is the same as allowing the Nazi Party to exist because only the original founders were the bad guys. But overall, it's a good religion. When you see Muslims praying by the thousands, they are not there because they are free. They are being forced to pray or die. Isn't that what Hitler did with his mass rallies to cheer him on? Why is this being allowed in America? Does anyone in Washington, like the Secretary of War, recall the Japanese War, perhaps, and how the Japanese would commit suicide missions for the Emperor? Open your eyes. Why is Congress and the Senate of the United States and the European Union so blind of the truth? When you see pictures of all those Muslims praying, do you truly believe they all want to be there, or is it because they have no choice? We as Americans have allowed Muslim countries to imprison their own people into one belief and one belief only. Here is my latest book, Presidential Treason of Three Stooges. It's available from Amazon. Thank you for watching.